Commission regular meeting. Today is December 17th, 2015. We're going to start our meeting as normal with public comments. There's one gentleman here from the public.
Fair enough. We're not in line today.
Public comment.
Talk about the Woodbridge Golf Course.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sterling Adams. I live at 1257 Racebrook Road. I'm Ellen's neighbor, actually, and I tap a number of her maple trees as well as my own on the property. Make maple syrup. I also tap a number of trees in Orange, where I have a family farm. It's the farm around Wright's Pond on Old Grassy Hill Road. And we kind of still own about half the farm, and then the town owns the other half the farm. And it's pretty much used for open space recreation purposes, but really geared towards farming. So a local farmer in Orange, for example, he grows, Joe Moncheski grows produce, and then I'm in there tapping the maple trees February, March, that time of year. But anyway, I went in front of the Board of Selectmen, I think last week it was?
Yep.
Or 2 weeks? And I just saw that you guys were meeting tonight, so I figured I'd just pop in. And it seems like I might be more closely related starting here to discuss possibilities of tapping maple trees on Elderslie Preserve. So just kind of figured I'd get some feelers out there. I contacted Jerry Shaw originally, and I kind of proposed the idea of tapping some maple trees on town property. And she was kind enough to give me 3 properties to look at. And one was Fitzgerald. Also the land across the street from the Darling House, so the same side as the barn, and the Elderslie Preserve. So I went and walked the properties quick, mainly just looking for, I wasn't concerned with fields, I'm looking at the trees. And Elderslie Preserve, for those that are familiar with it, if you're facing the preserve, if you're standing on Peck Hill Road facing the preserve, you have your parking area on your left, and then you have a hayfield, woods with a little access road that most people don't even notice onto Peck Hill Road, and then another hayfield. And that wooded area between the 2 hayfields is actually loaded with sugar maples. And it appears that it was either an old carriage path at one point, or it's a drainage ditch now. I'm not quite sure. So that was kind of the area that my focus was on. Tapping maple trees, it's pretty low impact farming. I don't have a lot of heavy machinery. I'm pretty much the heavy machinery. And what I use, I used to use a small 2 5/16 tap. So it's a smaller tap than the traditional 3/8 tap. It puts a smaller wound in the tree, so it's easier for the tree to heal. And as far as drawing sap from the tree, it actually doesn't adversely affect the tree for the amount that I'm taking. And it's up to the sugar maker. You kind of keep an eye on the tree too. If you see a tree that's in decline, you don't tap it. If the tree's not healthy, you don't tap it. But normally if a tree's in decent health, then you can put 1 to 2 taps, even 3 on a very large diameter tree, depending. But in any case, I also saw that I guess later tonight you might be talking about some of the management of Elderslie Preserve, and I talked briefly with Jason already, but I was just curious if there's going to be any kind of farming restrictions, if something like tapping of maple trees would be possible, or maybe there's something in its charter or what have you that restricts farming. So I was just trying to get a better idea for my own purposes, just because, believe it or not, you start kind of gearing up now for the season, and the maple syrup season usually falls end of winter, beginning of spring, so that tends to be February, March. And the season can be anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months. It just depends on the weather. And the weather being above freezing days, below freezing nights. And that's when the sap flows. I guess, other than that, I've seen it in the paper where, land available for local farmers, this and that. Is there a certain fee that normally is charged, or is there any kind of barter system, like, hey, I'm able to tap the trees and I'll mow the hay fields if someone's getting paid to mow the hay fields? In Orange, for example, for the privilege to tap the maple trees on the town-owned property, there's a trail system back there, and I pretty much maintain the trail system So fallen trees, limbs, what have you, make sure that those pathways are clear. And that's kind of the swap we do over there, which works nicely, I think, for both of us. But any questions for me, actually? Any concerns about tapping of maple trees or anything I can answer for you guys?
No concerns, but I'm just curious. So how many trees does it take to, like, is there a formula for how many trees you need to be,
Well, sure. I mean,
a while?
you can, at your own home, if you have like 2 or 3 maple trees, you can have some fun, put a couple taps in, reduce it down, make your own syrup. To do it on a little bit larger scale, to put a rough number on it, it'd be nice to have, I would say, 50 to 150 taps. And with that being said, on a tree 12-inch diameter, you could put 1 tap, 24-inch, 2 taps, 36, 3 taps. So you don't necessarily need 100 trees. It could be less than 100 to get that number of taps. But it's just hard to find a grouping of sugar maples that are kind of close together, because the way I do it is kind of the old-fashioned way, where you're going tree to tree collecting with pails. So obviously the less distance I have to walk from tree to tree, the quicker my collection time is. And
so you're hanging buckets off the trees?
what I use is actually, it's like the new age buckets. So rather than a bucket, it's like a bag. So I'm hanging bags from the trees. And I just like it because at the end of the season, I stack them up in the recycling bin. I don't have to wash the pails and store the pails, and it actually gets kind of expensive when you buy all those pails.
How would you want to access it? Would you want to be driving in there with a vehicle, or that's?
What I would, so on Peck Hill Road, there's like a small little access road, it seems, to get to those 2 hay fields, and that's actually right at the edge of the woods that I wanted to tap. If anything, I would just basically back my truck off of Peck Hill Road, which my truck has a tank in it for sap, and that would be it really. It would just back in off the road, and if it was snow covered, I have the proper equipment and know how to clear a little bit of an apron to back into. Also, I'll make mention that I do carry the proper insurance. Orange made sure that I had that, so it's liability, trip and fall, theft, damages, all that sort of stuff. And I'm actually paying that premium tomorrow, so I'll be up to date on that. But
So, Sterling, how long have you been doing the maple tapping?
I've only been doing it for about 3 years,
Okay.
and I'll tell you, the hobby's kind of addicting. You start off with like 20 trees, and then you go to 200, and then you go to 400, and you got to draw the line somewhere, But I don't really want to expand much more.
Are you selling it locally, or is it just?
Yeah, I participated in the Orange and Woodbridge farmers markets this year, so it was really neat. Selling to the local market, and people are like, wow, this is made here in town, or this is made one town over, and a lot of people are always so used to buying their syrup from Vermont. And it's funny, people ask me, is like, what's the difference in the taste? There is no difference, really. A maple tree is a maple tree. So whether it's Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, New York, it's all the same syrup, really. Because we follow a grading system as well. But so yeah, I participated in the farmers markets. Also, any other events that I can find kind of locally. I just did Breakfast with Santa at High Plains Community Center, the Strawberry Festival over in Orange. I'm always looking at the paper for local events or vendors wanted. So
you answered that question, and you did indicate that you did have some attention to the health of the trees.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The biggest concern is
I like trees. I have a Christmas tree farm with my brother. It's not ready to harvest yet, but I'm always planting trees. I really enjoy trees. I don't want to negatively affect any trees. And I actually had my doubts when I first started tapping trees. I said, I'm taking the sap. They need this to produce their leaves and heal themselves. And then if you walk around the woods and you look up, you'll be surprised with the number of broken branches or limbs or damage to trees in the woods. And the wounds are much bigger than the little 5/16 hole that I'm actually putting in the tree. And I'm only going in about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. So that kind of calmed me down, and I keep an eye, because I tap a lot of my own trees on my property. I keep an eye on them, and the crowns are always full with leaves. They look in good health. So yeah, I'm a pretty firm believer that it really doesn't negatively impact the tree.
All right. So you asked about fees on town properties. Every year, the town does lease properties to farmers, and it's usually the same group of fellows that come and ask for the lease, and it's usually for haying purposes.
Sure.
I don't think anyone's come and discussed fees for tapping trees.
Sure.
I think that's
Yeah.
something new. It's not at least new to me. The conservation easement on the property, I heard from the president of the Woodbridge Land Trust. They're the ones that hold the conservation easement on the property. And he indicated to me just today that commercial activities are prohibited from the property, and that he believes that this would fall under that.
Okay.
Since they're the holders of the easement, it would probably be in your best interest to go before them and talk to them about it as well. While it is town-owned property, they hold the easement. But they also hold the easement to the Massaro farm, and there's an active farm on that property at the moment. So I think having a discussion is a healthy way to approach it, to figure out if it's something that will work well.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I'm just, as I said, I'm just seeing if this would possibly work. If it doesn't work, it's not a huge deal. I'm not, going to be too upset about it. I'm having fun in other places, but I just figured if there was a potential, I should search it out. That's all.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Cool.
I like. I'm
Interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, something different. I mean, eventually, as I get better set up and maybe get a little bit bigger sugar house, it'd be fun to try to involve the community a little bit more, kids and such, just to show them something different that they might not be used to, especially in Connecticut. So
Absolutely, and Massaro has been evaluated in terms of sugar bush potential, but you might want to go up and scout that as well. There's a trail on the property that's open to the public, so you're welcome to park and at least walk the trail. I don't believe there's a huge potential, but I was told that there is some black birch, some maple, but it's a little further out, a little longer walk.
yeah, it's nice to
park nearby.
The closer proximity, the less my back hurts.
Yeah, there's nothing like hauling out 10 gallons or 20 gallons of
it keeps me healthy, for sure. But
all right, anybody else?
All right.
Have any questions for Sterling?
Well, I appreciate your time. And
All right, very nice to meet you, Sterling.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
I'm going to go home, but unless you need me here. So.
No, you're good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a nice evening.
You too now. Okay. So next on the agenda is review and approve minutes of the November 19th meeting. I did get a chance to look at them. I don't have any changes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from last month?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Tim.
Second.
A second. Is there any discussion or correction to the minutes? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That was everybody. Okay. Here's another easy one. Our meeting dates. So every year, at the end of the calendar year, we need to set the dates for the next calendar year of all of our meetings. So historically, Conservation is met on the third Thursday of every month, and we've been sticking to 7:30 p.m. here at the Town Hall. Our regularly scheduled room is the small board room, which is down the hall from us here. But if this room is not occupied, which it typically is unoccupied, we can take it. But 7:30, third Thursday. I've passed around all of the dates as they line up. Everybody agreeable to continuing that? All right. Well, I'll make a motion. I suppose I can make my own motions here. That we approve the list of dates remaining as the third Thursday of the month at 7:30 p.m. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Any more discussion on this one? Good. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Excellent. Budget. Also this time of the year, we need to do our budget. I circulated to everybody this little
I couldn't read it.
spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Did yours come funny? Yeah.
No, I was able to read it.
Yeah, I couldn't read it. That's okay.
You had to zoom in, I'm sure.
Yeah, I had to zoom in big time, but
So, In the past several years, the adopted budget for conservation landed at 2,700, and it's broken down as 1,000 for professional services, 600 for printing and binding, 500 for professional development and dues, 400 for programs and publicity, and 200 for office costs. In prior years, we've in some cases smashed all that money together and applied it to consultant services. We have used some of that money in the past for materials for trail walks. We haven't done any large printing of brochures and whatnot, although it has been something has been discussed in the past. So that's what we've been receiving, but we've been proposing the same thing for the last few years as well. Everything remaining the same in all those breakdowns except for professional services, and we've been asking for 4,500 for professional services, and in the end getting 1,000.
So we get rejected every year.
We get rejected every year, but we keep coming back. Maybe one time we'll get a little bit
Joe. Step up.
Or the finance board.
Oh, finance, okay.
4,500, okay.
And
So what is that for?
Consulting and stuff.
the professional services and is actually relevant to later on the discussion about the DEEP grant is, for example, hiring an appraiser to do an appraisal on a property. It would come from the Conservation Commission's budget rather than the town's general fund or
Now, have we
other
just
sources.
submitted like a sheet like that saying that we would like 4,700 without much of a justification for the increase from 1,000?
No, it says it there.
Right, so our narrative to it is continual evaluation of open space and inventory of natural resources, hiring of professional services for developing a wildlife action plan to be submitted to the state of Connecticut. I think our narrative might
If
change
we
a little
specifically mention that we're applying for a grant that requires,
bit, but this has certainly
would we
this
be
has come up twice.
more likely to be successful, or?
I'm hoping. That's why I keep going. That's why
Okay.
I say we should just keep going back and asking. The worst they can say
How
is
does the,
no.
I haven't been involved in this, so how does the budget get presented? Do you
I'll-
present it, or
I
do you-
submit this to finance, and then there's a couple evenings in
Where you-
January. I come up on one of them,
Okay.
and I come, lay it out. They ask questions.
Okay, and then,
It's very brief,
okay.
but based upon experiences, in particular in 2015, with these two grant opportunities. Earlier in the year, it was the trail grant, which required an appraisal. Now it's the DEEP grant, which requires two appraisals. I think once I have become more accustomed to the whole process and the experience of it, I feel more comfortable saying that yes, there is a need for it. Whether we actually apply for grants or not, professional services are something that we can definitely use.
Yeah.
So I don't see any harm in continuing to reach higher than what we actually get. And everything else has remained the same because we have not. Rich Kruger, one of the prior members here, he was advocating strongly for like a trifold brochure that folds out into a map. Town of Orange did an excellent one, and that would fall under printing and binding generally. But you need a professional service to develop it. We're not graphic designers around the table here.
Have you ever approached the town for the professional services?
Well, we did, for example, going beyond our budget, right? Is that what you're wondering?
Yeah, to increase the budget specifically for professional services.
It did happen when the Connecticut HIP tag, the Historic Preservation Technical Assistance Grant for the Water Authority properties, has come about. We did hire a consultant for that,
Okay.
and that went well above and beyond conservation's budget. So that tapped into other financial resources of the town. So we haven't been kicked to the curb yet because of it.
Didn't we just do it Wednesday?
We agreed. So on Wednesday, and I'll cover this a little bit more, but there is approval from the Board of Selectmen to move forward with the grant, as well as going forward and spending money on appraisals.
And we the money you didn't have, we said we'd kick in.
Right.
I just wanted everyone to know that.
Yeah.
Great.
It's not like we shot you down because you didn't have
Yeah.
your budget.
But it seems like that's the way it's been approached, is that you get this budget, and then when things come up, they take it case by case, and
That's the way I guess it's been.
Yeah, and I think perhaps the idea is that rather than ending up with a surplus in a certain commission budget, let's meet what we've got, and if we overspend, then pull it from another resource in town. But my thought is let's just be mindful of what we're roughly spending every year and continue to ask for that higher value. So, any more thoughts in general about the budget?
no, I agree with
Well,
that
we're
approach.
still gonna ask for the 4,500 extra. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable.
All right. So is there a motion to approve the proposed budget as I put in the attachment?
Yeah.
Somebody.
I will.
Thank you. And we'll have
Fight
Laura
over
be the
it.
second.
Sure.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Excellent. Trail walk update. I was not able to make it to the December trail walk. It was my wife's birthday. I have a very good excuse. It's not a note from the doctor, but it's, I think, sufficient. And I know, Lauren, you weren't able to make it. Did any of you? Oh,
I
Yeah,
couldn't go either.
Yeah, I was able to. Tom did a great job. We had probably, I'd say 15 to 20
Oh, that's
people.
good.
Really?
It
That's
was-
good.
Yeah, there was quite a few people. Fitzgerald property.
It was on
yeah.
Fitzgerald. Now, where did you start?
We started at the ball field, and then we went around the loop and across the street and all the way around the walking shields,
Yeah.
and came back. It was good. We went.
So
through
you
the-
started. So you started down here.
Yeah, down at the
Down at the ball field down here,
Yeah,
because most
everybody
people aren't
parked.
aware
There was
that
good parking there.
It
yeah.
crosses the street down there.
And then we had to cross the street, right? And we went all the way down. We saw where they planted those fruit trees in the gardens. They were attracting birds and stuff. There was a lot of interesting things that Tom explained as we were walking. And it was a great day, beautiful. It was good weather,
Oh,
you know. So
these
we've been
weekends
real
have been
lucky
great.
with these walks. You know, we've
Yeah.
been having really great weather. I think it went off pretty well.
Very good.
And it took about an hour and a half, maybe, right in there.
All right. All
Good
right.
walk.
Good. So that was our third walk this year, and they all seem to be well attended. So I'm suggesting that we continue them in 2016. So that's why I had sent around months and potential trails in town for people to look at. Now I know not everybody has been on all of the trails in town. That's okay. Here's an opportunity to get out there and get on them. And it seems as though sticking with the first weekend of a month, and it'll be up to the discretion of whoever's leading the walk that month, whether it's the Saturday or Sunday, and whether there's a rain date. But whoever's leading the walk is the one that works out all the details for it. Seems to be working out pretty well. There being 7 of us on this commission, my hope was we would hit at least 7 months out of the year. There's no limitation. If you wanted to double up and do one in the spring and one in the fall, which I was thinking about doing myself, that's a possibility. But what are the thoughts around the table of January, February walks?
I have a suggestion for January 2nd. There's a walk at the source of the West River through the beautiful hemlock forest just south of the dam at Lake Bethany, and it's going to be from January 2nd, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if we'd like to join the West River Watershed Coalition in that walk, I think that'd be something we could do.
I think that's an excellent idea.
And you know, we won't have to get one of our people to lead it, and we could save that for maybe the Aldersea Preserve at another date, maybe in February or something.
What was the time on January 2nd?
This would be January 2nd, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And I'll have the information. I could give it to Betsy if she wants to put it on the website. for a contact from.
Would they be okay with us
Oh, sure. No
jumping
problem.
in on it?
No problem.
Okay.
I'll clear the way for us. It's not a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just,
Well,
sometimes.
the only issue is
Groups organize those
it's
things.
they're gonna have to get water company permit approval, but Ron Walters, not Mike Walters, but Ron Walters from the water company is working on that, I believe. So.
So they're gonna hike on the
Yeah,
water company property
Lake Bethany,
right near the
yeah.
dam?
And I've never done that one, but I understand there's a hemlock forest there, and it's pretty nice. It's a pretty nice hike to.
I've only biked past the dam.
Yeah,
I've
so
never actually walked
I
in
really
it.
haven't done that walk.
Yeah.
So it'd be something different for me anyhow.
Yeah.
Probably for some of us.
I think
So
that's
I'll get the details and I'll get it to Betsy.
very good.
And we can advertise that.
Did anybody want to pick a month in a trail?
I'll pick May. Because,
May.
well, not because of anything, I just looked and they have swim meets almost
Forever.
every first of the month of those. So I'll do May. Is that good? And I don't know what trail because you have to sort of curate it, I assume, right?
It's good to have some general knowledge of
so-
it.
so-
But if
But
there's
we can figure it out before May.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But you tell me what you think would be, a novice
a
trail.
novice trail walk,
A green trail.
Not a black diamond to
Yeah, not
start.
a black diamond.
whenever someone asks for an easy trail in town, I talk about the Alice Newton Street Park right
Yeah,
behind town hall.
that's
here.
pretty easy town.
It's a
trail.
Yeah, I've been
Is that
on
the
a
blue
million
trail?
times. I could do that.
yeah, it's the one right behind
Yeah,
town hall.
I'm doing
and
that
church
one
here.
tomorrow
Pretty good.
morning.
Yeah, I could do that. I mean, I know that one.
All
We
right.
just did that one with the kids.
Yeah, the harvest hike
Yeah,
Yep.
was there.
Did you narrate?
I
yeah,
did,
You did?
yeah.
yeah.
Well, sort of. I mean.
No,
at the
you
beginning, I
did. You did a
little
good
talk
job.
At the beginning, and then we walked. I didn't do anything as we walked.
But then we stopped at the top
We
and
stopped
the
at the
waterfall,
top
and the
and-
kids were all, and I was a nervous wreck, and the kids
Yeah.
were all fine, but it was,
That's always the way.
it was a lot of kids. It was
Herding
great.
cats.
Well,
All
there's
right.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there were wet children.
Yes. Well, they were all
Couple.
fine.
Just a couple.
October is another easy one to tag on to, like we did this year with Massaro's Family Fun Day. It's an annual event at the farm, and they've got the 1 mile trail loop. So that's and I'm happy to jump in and take that one.
I could do April.
Do you have any trail in mind?
No, I have to look at the list, and I'll pick one though. I've been on most of
Yeah.
the trails in Woodbridge, or if not all, actually. I don't know what you have.
So
Everybody
this is
gather
the
round.
Alice Newton Street Park. That's the one I'm doing.
Yep.
I'll tentatively do March. Probably the Aldersea Preserve,
Okay.
March.
All right. Do you have any thoughts?
I
on it?
would love to do it, but every single beginning of the thing, I have a bar mitzvah Saturday, June 4th. I out of town. I have another one.
What are you doing in November next year?
Well, okay. Let me check. November 5th or 6th. Okay. Okay.
What's Racebrook Estates?
So right. That's what I said too. So I didn't realize it was its own named, but if you're at the parking lot up here at Fitzgerald,
Yeah.
there's a blue trail that leads off of that,
right behind it.
Oh yeah.
and then it cuts up across Beecher Road,
Okay.
heading towards
Yeah.
Johnson Road, Park Lane. Was it or is it Pease Road? Anyway,
Yeah.
it snakes between a whole bunch of houses, and it goes up, and that's called Racebrook Estates. It connects Fitzgerald with Park Lane trails.
Let me check out a couple of these and I'll let you know. Either Racebrook or I don't think I've been on the Park Lane or the Bishop East and West is.
So that's the Darling House, either on the
yeah.
Darling side or on the Boy Scout side.
Yeah.
You've been there. I've been there with you.
Yeah.
There's there's some really neat stuff behind the Boy Scout.
You know where I have? Let me walk on the Park Lane trails because I haven't done those. And,
That's one I'd be willing to do, Park Lane, because I used to walk that quite a bit.
Very nice. Very easy.
that's one area I haven't hiked
Okay.
on yet.
Definitely do it.
All right.
I recommend
Is
it.
that the old Indian Trail? Is that the one you're talking about on
Yep.
Parkland? It comes out by, it's pretty steep where it ends up down by Amity Road by the
If-
Wells Fargo Bank, right?
Yeah, if
Where
you take
comes
it down
back
that way.
Yeah.
But
That's
the
pretty interesting.
loop that I would do is that we would start on Park Lane and loop around almost up at the top. We wouldn't go down to Wells Fargo. though.
Okay.
So Frank, you were interested in March, and Lauren, we got you for November.
And are we skipping February? Because February I could maybe do unless there's a blizzard.
That might be a tough month, depending
Yeah,
on
that's
the
what I was
winter.
thinking.
It might be
lot
a
of
tough
snow
month to do
February.
something.
Maybe we won't have
Although
any
this,
snow
this
again.
year, who knows?
Wouldn't that be great?
Last year we
It would be.
Yeah.
I don't
There'll
know
be
if we
no
would count
more
on
snow.
that though, but it would be great.
If there's no snow, I'll do it. I'll do it in the snow. I have snowshoes. I'll be the only one out there.
Actually, you might not. I don't know.
There are people out
Year round.
With flares. All
dogs pulling you around.
right, whatever. You tell
And if
me.
it snows, you can bring snowshoes.
That's
Yeah.
right.
All right.
Hardy New Englanders.
So Tim, I have you down in April, and you'll
Yep.
figure out what trail you might want to do. Frank, we're going to do Eldersley in March. I'm thinking summer, July, August. Aside from being hot, sometimes it's tougher to get people gathered.
You might want to skip
But-
July. A lot of people aren't going to be on vacation. I mean, I don't know how many people are. Well, not really though. Then again, a lot of people might be looking
Well,
for
when's
something
July
to do.
4th?
Yeah.
So you can look at that both ways, I guess.
Well, we've now got January. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got at least 6 months lined up right now.
That first weekend in July is the July 4th weekend because Monday's July 4th.
Yeah, see, that's right around July 4th. It's going to be.
Well, we'll
in June they
we'll
have
kick it.
don't they have Trail Day in June? Isn't there?
That's
National
right.
Trail Day, yeah.
Yeah.
So we should
Who
do
has
something
that?
for sure in June. We should do maybe we should do the Racebrook track again that we did last year in June.
You know, we might be able to team up with
With
Orange again.
That might be an idea.
I'll reach out to Sharon and the Orange Conservation Commission to see if they want to team up again on the Racebrook track.
Yeah, I
for
think
that, 'cause
that'd be a
that
good
was
idea for
that was
June.
good.
That was fine.
There was a little miscommunication as to where we were going.
It was fine. It worked out good. Everybody had fun. That's all that
That's
matters.
right. All right. Well, I think we're pretty well set. The only gap in the next 6 months is February, but
Robin, have to sign her up.
February, I'm sure she'd love that.
Tell her she's on.
I agree that February is a tricky one.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Just because of.
She's not here. Let's assign one to her
It's
now.
not.
That would be good.
Yeah, not knowing. Yeah, I would.
Although you seem actually
No, whatever. If you wanted one, I'm happy to. I don't have, I could, whatever.
you actually don't
We-
have anything going on that first
Well,
weekend.
I don't know for sure, but it doesn't look like it.
So you're saying February? Why don't we put tentatively for February? Wanna
Sure,
take that
February.
I have snowshoes, so yeah.
And then in the
Great,
meantime,
you and me.
you could decide where you want to do it.
And it may not.
I
even
want to do
snow.
it in West Rock. We could repel. I'm totally kidding.
Really? You could do ice climbing, maybe.
We can get those ice picks.
Actually, the trails are kind of cool.
Okay, you just tell me what to do. I'll be there with some granola bars and water.
Maybe hot chocolate this time.
Oh, hot chocolate. Tea.
All
some
right, so
brandy.
we'll figure out what trail.
For February.
Trail to be
That takes
determined.
care of February.
Okay, February.
All right, good. And we'll come back and touch on this again
Okay,
next month as well.
that'd be good. 'Cause
Okie doke. Next is our open space management plan revolving around the Elderslie Preserve. Sterling did mention that he had some interest in what we have to say about Elderslie this evening, but I assured him there were not any major decisions or discussions going on. We're still in the information gathering phase of the process. That's not what I'm looking for.
Is this when I was supposed to get the deed? Are we on that?
Yes.
Because I got it. Ta-da. Thanks to Betsy. And I read it.
And you read it?
Yes.
A little
With
light reading?
restrictions, try to give us a summary.
Well, so I am glad I didn't jump in when he was talking, although I would have said, it seems from what I read, the Woodbridge Land Trust, how you put it, holds the easement on the property, so I think they're in charge of deciding what happens. The only thing that is clear from this language that sounds like it was written in the 1700s, even though it was just 2000, is it's okay to fix the pipes from, there must be some pipes, bringing water in, I don't,
Right,
right?
drainage
Yeah,
pipes.
that's all okay to do. It's very, it's really cool. This stuff is really neat. The way they talk about which goes to which birch tree to the ash tree. It's really
Oh, the property boundaries?
detailed. Yes, I love that.
Oh, the way they define things,
Yes,
those old deeds,
I think that
yeah,
is so
it's really
neat.
amazing.
It makes you feel like there's so much history. Okay, I'm getting off topic. See, you've got to reel me in. All right, so tell me what else to hear. Do you want this?
Yeah, why don't you, what I'll do is...
There you go. I didn't make copies. I should have, and then I didn't.
Well, that's all right. What I can do is I can scan them and circulate
Okay.
them to everybody, but
Great.
we did want to have current deeds and any restrictions that'll go into this. Now, on my notes from the last meeting, I definitely had Lauren's name written down. And we got it.
Okay. Thank you. You're welcome.
But I didn't have names specifically for other folks on my list here.
I looked back at my notes and I did not sign up for something. I noticed.
Now's your opportunity.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't here, so.
this will definitely be a working document, as it has been,
Yeah.
slowly evolving. And we're at the point of just gathering data. I would like to speak with CUPOP, Land Trust, since they're the ones that hold the easement, to see what they're interested in doing. The latest annual report from the Land Trust does indicate that they're working on management plans. So I reached out to their board president, Brian Pines, and I'm hoping to meet with him, or if that doesn't work out, maybe I'll end up going to their board meeting and saying we should all, as chairs or presidents of various commissions, organizations, we should actually have once a year have a meeting between Land Trust, Parks, Conservation, and CUPOP, the heads of those, just so we're all clear what we're doing, because it would be a shame that CUPOP does their management plan, we do a management plan,
Right.
Land Trust does another one,
Right.
and we duplicate 90% of what we're doing.
Right.
And then the other 10% is pulled in completely opposite directions. So I think it's important that we all work together on this.
Was Land
Moving
Trust
forward.
at that meeting? That was
No.
us and something and rec. That
CUPOP.
yeah, Land Trust
Yeah.
was not at that one because
Right.
they would have been good to be at that one. You know, the one in the other
Yep.
area.
It does get a little different being that they're a private
Oh,
organization.
okay.
So their board of directors have their board meetings
Oh, I see. Okay.
not in the public venue.
Okay.
But I think it's important for the heads of those to actually meet and talk.
Mhm.
So left on the management plan, we're still going to be collecting maps, whether it's woods, shrubs, grasses, soils, wetlands. We'll need maps for those. I'm pretty sure that the town has pretty detailed maps on some of it. Need to talk to Rec about current recreational uses that are happening, Land Trust as well, and Mike Walter. Current management, so, and future management and activities. So in my notes here, I've just indicated sort of the stakeholders in all of these discussions.
Mhm.
And then mostly it's Land Trust, Rec, CUPOP, Mike Walter, sort of the obvious players. But I don't have anything else to offer at this point. At our next meeting, what I will have done is gather a few more maps, incorporated information from these deed documents, and updated this framework here. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. There, just for the general knowledge, there's it's called Sea Grant Connecticut Managing Open Space, and it's got a whole breakdown about different aspects of managing open space. You know, general property description, physical characteristics. You might want to look at it. It's just go to Sea Grant Managing Open Space right on the. You want to pass that down there? There's some real good hints. I mean,
sea like the ocean, sea.
yeah, characteristics of the site, for and it describes all your forest, wetlands, shrublands, grassland, meadows, special habitats. I want to pass that down. I just happened to look at that, seeing how we're going to be talking about. And I think it gives us an idea about what we're looking for. Like I really never did a management plan, so that kind of would give everybody an idea of what we're talking about.
So it looks like the headings are very similar to some of what the Yukon Clear framework had with this one.
I think that's Yukon too. I'm not sure if that's. I think Yukon has something to do with that one. I'm not sure.
The logo made me think that I've seen it before on Yukon's website.
But they talk about different things. Also, I was clearing some trails with Mike Walters in that preserve. It just happened to happen this week. And what he wants to get done is there's an old foundation there, and he'd like to get that cleared up, get the weeds out of it, and it's really in pretty good shape for
The one near the road?
right off of Peck Hill Road.
But it's the foundation right near the road, near
Not
Peck
too
Hill
far,
Road?
yeah, pretty close to the road, yeah.
Right where the sugar maples were.
Pretty
That he's talking
Pretty close
about.
to
That's
that,
what I
yeah, not far from where he was talking about, the gentleman was talking
Yeah.
about the sugar maples, yeah. So he'd just like to get that cleared up a little bit, and
It's fun to
Maybe
find
we-
foundations out in the woods too.
maybe we could,
So, yeah.
maybe we get some volunteers together to help him with that, I mean, that's like maintenance of the site. What else did we do there? And yeah, we did, there were some trees going across some of the trails, so we did get those done. But Mike also asked me to find out if anybody knew anything about the historical significance of that particular foundation. So I asked Simon Donato. He's like a town historian, Simon. So he had a map of Woodbridge from 1780, I believe it was, and it had a house that belonged to the Sperrys, which is almost in the same location there. So it was pretty interesting. It could have possibly been that foundation. But we'll dwell into that. I just thought it'd be an interesting fact that might have something to do with that property, historically.
Yeah, and that's something that we would want to talk about in the management plan as well as the history. Not only the history
aspects
of recent
that
history of
particular
ownership,
site.
but also going way back.
So is there anything we can help you with so you don't?
What I might need help with are gathering maps from the town hall. Here, this
Okay.
town hall.
Are we in maps? Okay, I can help.
And I think once I get my head back around this, because I haven't had the time to actually revise it, it'll become a little more clear to me what additional parts need to come into it and how you guys can contribute.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If there's nothing else in that, let's move on to item number 7, update on the Deep Aqua grant. So it's the Connecticut Open Space Watershed Acquisition Grant. So as I said earlier, went before the Board of Selectmen last week, and per the recommendation from this commission, recommended that the town apply for the grant. The Board of Selectmen agreed to move forward with it. We are also working on getting appraisals done because this grant does require appraisals. So there was a good discussion about what is the cost of the appraisals. I did put us on the line for a cost. Normally, I would like to have an agreement from this commission before making such an agreement, but I had to make a decision in the moment. And the decision was the Conservation Commission would pay 50% or up to $2,500, whichever is greater, towards the cost of the appraisals. And so the day after, I asked Betsy to see what we could do. First contact the property owner to make sure he's still interested. She did. He's still interested. That's the good news.
Good.
The other good news is that we made contact with 2 appraisers. Bad news is one of them's too busy to do anything. The good news is one of them is available. And his quote was $3,500. Is that right, Betsy?
And I've since gotten the second quote, so I feel like we should get at least one more quote before going forward. Another one is in the same ballpark.
So my expectation was that a single appraisal would be in the $3,000 to $5,000 range. So we can expect the budget impact from conservation to be that our $2,500 out of our $2,700 will be wiped out for this purpose. But the other important fact is once we get an appraisal, then we'll have a better idea of what we're dealing with in terms of numbers. And I'm making up a number here, but let's say that the appraisal comes back and they're appraising it at $350,000. That's no way affordable to us at this point.
No.
The recommendation was that the town has $80,000 in its open space fund, roughly, right now, that all of that be applied to the matching part of this grant.
Excuse me, how much did you say it was again, the town has?
Around 80,000.
80, okay.
So that puts a very rough cap on what we could realistically go forward with at around 220,000. Also, going beyond what's in the open space fund then digs into either the town's general fund, or if it hits a certain point of fund expenditure, then it hits the budget, requires referendums. It becomes way more complicated than I think we want to go at this point. So hopefully the appraisals will come in at a much more reasonable price than the absurd number I just mentioned. So assuming the appraisals come in reasonable, we will file with that. We'll go forward with the grant and meet the February 2nd deadline.
We were talking about 200,000 in that area though, as far as with
Maybe.
the owner, but we still don't have the appraisals. We still
Right.
have to get the appraisals.
Yeah, his number was based upon the appraisal that was done
A while
about 10,
back.
12 years ago. So
You know, a lot of land value, the real estate values haven't really gone up an awful lot, so.
Gone down.
no, yes.
Yeah.
Years ago.
So actually,
As someone who bought at the height, I can tell you it's just gone down.
yeah, so it might be pretty good.
So during the presentation, I was asked a lot of good questions. Some of the questions came out like, what is the significance of this property in the broader scope of the town? Is it important in some way? So I went back, I circulated the open space plan. Hopefully Joe got a copy of it. I sent it to the Board of Selectmen and I highlighted some relevant parts of the open space plan. I'll send this to all you guys too. But page 4 of the open space plan specifically talks about preserving and extending the greenway using coherent acquisition efforts. And this land's smack dab at the end of the greenway and also in the middle of the West River Greenway. Page 6 in the open space plan talks about the greenway and in fact talks specifically about starting at West Rock where this parcel is. Page 8 talks about a property abutting West Rock and the acquisition for properties that expand the West Rock recreation area for trails. And then it's listed in the parcels And I was asked if there's any ranking in terms of importance. The open space plan does not specifically rank things in any order of importance, although in a bullet list of 17 items, this was the third item in the list, if that is any indication. I don't believe the open space plan meant that third in the list meant it was more important than others. However, it's certainly one of the larger parcels that was listed in the open space plan. And the other point that I wanted to mention is that prior conservation members did go through and review lots of parcels in town and give them a score.
Important part.
We never received any of that documentation. None of that was passed on to me when I became chair. So we don't have any supporting documentation. All we have is what's in the minutes from the Conservation Commission. And looking back in the minutes, I went back years and I pulled out the scores and I made an Excel sheet of property and score and property and score and property and score. The highest score, and there were only 20 properties that had scores, the highest score was a 4.5, the lowest was a 2.0. So it looked as though the range was like a 1 to 5 or 0 to 5. This particular parcel that we're looking at, it was ranked 4.17
Yeah,
for whatever that's worth.
Pretty high.
That seems to me that it was considered at that point in time important for the town to consider. So I think there's a lot of positive aspects, as we've discussed prior in our meetings, that this parcel has a lot of benefit immediately. I mean, if we were able to acquire it, it immediately adds well over a mile of trail to the town and starts allowing us to make a better connection.
Yeah.
I believe in that grant application, there's something about if there's possibility for clean water, and that definitely has clean water that would be used for a water company.
Yep.
I believe that's in that grant application also. So there is a lot of aspects of that property that really conforms very well to that grant application.
Absolutely, and I would like to get some letters of support from the West River Watershed Coalition,
Yeah, I get
Land Trust. Sounds funny, but I would like to get a letter of support from the state of Connecticut. I don't know if it's a little incestuous in that way, but it is abutting the West Rock State Park. And I know that the state of Connecticut had wanted to acquire the property years ago, but we're not able to.
There's just one question on that. Do they have the first right of refusal on that property still? I mean, I know that we went through that process with the last conservation commission that tried to get it through. So I'm wondering if we have to repeat that process and talk to the state about that.
You know, I'll follow up with that.
Because I talked to Tom Embersall, and he said they were still interested, but they didn't have the funds in their budget. So, I mean, if we purchase it, it's still going to be conserved. So I don't see why they should have a problem with it.
Right, and the state of Connecticut will hold the conservation easement on.
Right. So, but I think we should at least notify them that what we're up to.
Yep, I can definitely make that outreach. So the due date on this grant is February 2nd. I'm hoping to have a draft of the grant ready for us for our January meeting so we can all take a look at it.
Great.
And similar to the management plan, I'll have a better idea of the scope and the gaps that need to get filled in and leverage some of you guys to help me out at that point. And hopefully between now and then we can get moving on at least one, if not two, appraisals. Although I'd hope we would get one appraisal and then decide whether to spend the money on the second appraisal.
Yeah.
There's no reason to spend another $3,000 to $5,000 if the first one tells us that there's no way we can afford this parcel. That's how I'd like to see it proceed. Any questions on the grant at this point?
No.
Okay.
Just one thing, if the appraisal comes in really high, is there some kind of special circumstance where the town gets some kind of discount because we're, no?
No.
And I don't think
If
they're
we
It's
were
a private sale, so.
Yeah, if we were, so the grant provides up to 65% of the market, the appraised value. If we were a distressed municipality, it would cover 75%, so it would kick in a bit more. That's about the only break that I'm aware of. All right, the last item on our agenda is the chairman's report. I don't have very much to report on. Year's winding down. I need to write the annual report for the Conservation Commission. I think that's due now. Is that right, Betsy?
It's due with your budget documents.
So it's due right now. And it's a short, I think it's even shorter than prior years. We were asked to condense. Last year we were asked to knock it down to one page, and now it's
Now
a
you're
paragraph.
condense even more. Good.
So I'll write as if I'm doing a text message.
140 characters.
Just tweet it.
So I'll be working on that. I did connect Mike Walters with the volunteer that wanted to go and help reblaze trails in town. That actually happened.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, he did that. That was great.
That's
And
great.
I asked him, I thanked him because that was excellent. And I asked him if he would be willing to do more, and he said, absolutely. What do you need me to do? So, you mentioned working on clearing up the foundation
The
that's over there.
foundation, yeah, we could talk to him about that. Yeah, he might be interested in that.
So it sounds like we have a dedicated volunteer, which would be
nice.
fantastic.
That's great.
Also, there's somebody from Troop 63 already working on those QR codes with the land trust.
Okay. Again,
And,
a reason for us
you
to
know,
come and
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah, I did speak to him about that. And,
Yeah.
he said they were interested in getting that app, so they might be doing that also.
All right. Well, that's cool. I'm glad to hear that's moving along.
So yeah, they're already doing that with the land trust. I wasn't aware of it until I talked to these people at the tree sale there.
I wasn't either. Okay. Good to know. Thank you. Lauren, did QPOP meet? Did you have an opportunity to?
I don't know that I didn't meet this month.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah, they usually email me and they didn't, so I thought maybe they skipped the month.
They may have had a special meeting. I can't remember what the QPOP schedule was.
Oh yeah, I think they said they were having a working thing. That's why they didn't invite me.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
That's right. I think they were working on.
I didn't miss it.
I think they were working on the
excluding you.
Yeah.
They
They were
did
working
a
on
good job.
the discussion of the Fitzgerald.
Yes,
Act, I think,
that's
is
it.
what the- what
Thank
it
you.
was.
Yes.
So when you have a working meeting, you don't have
You don't allow-
outside people coming in?
Usually, your working meeting is your agenda's got one item.
Yeah.
It's work on this document.
Mhm.
So there's generally no public comment or minutes or anything. It's just you come together and do it. And in the past, we've done that when we were working on the plan of conservation and development. We had occasional working meetings with QPOP specifically, a joint meeting, and all we did was talk about what we would like to see in that plan of conservation and development. All right, I have nothing more to report.
I make a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jason.